नमस्कार। रविवार 17 सितंबर 2023 को भाद्रपद माह के शुक्ल पक्ष की द्वितीय तिथि है। इस तिथि पर हस्त नक्षत्र और ब्रह्म योग का संयोग रहेगा। आज यानी रविवार को भगवान विश्वकर्मा जयंती है। हिंदू पंचांग के अनुसार विश्वकर्मा प्राकट्य दिवस हर साल कन्या संक्रांति के दिन मनाई जाती है। इस दिन भगवान विश्वकर्मा की विशेष रूप पूजा आराधना की जाती है। हर साल सृष्टि के सबसे बड़े और अद्भुत शिल्पकार विश्वकर्मा जी की पूजा का पर्व बड़े ही उत्साह और उमंग के साथ मनाया जाता है। शास्त्रों के अनुसार विश्वकर्मा जी सृष्टि के पहले शिल्पकार, वास्तुकार और इंजीनियर हैं। धर्म ग्रंथों के अनुसार जब ब्रह्मा जी ने सृष्टि की रचना की, तो इसके निर्माण कार्य की जिम्मेदारी भगवान विश्वकर्मा जी को दी। आज के होने वाले गीता सत्र में आप सभी का स्वागत है। आज हम गीता जी के तीसरे अध्याय कर्म योग के श्लोक 1 से 8 तक का अध्ययन करेंगे। इसी के स्वरूप मैं एक कथा के साथ आरंभ करना चाहूंगी। श्री भगवान कहते हैं, प्रिय जन स्थान में एक जड़ नामक ब्राह्मण था, जो कौशिक वंश में उत्पन्न हुआ था। उसने अपना जातीय धर्म छोड़कर बनिए की वृत्ति में मन लगाया। उसे पराई स्त्रियों के साथ व्यभिचार करने का व्यसन पड़ गया था। वह सदा जुआ खेलता, शराब पीता और शिकार खेलकर जीवों की हिंसा किया करता था। इसी प्रकार उसका समय बीत उत्तर दिशा में चला गया। वहां से धन कमाकर घर की ओर लौटा। बहुत दूर तक रास्ता उसने तय कर लिया था। एक दिन सूर्यास्त हो जाने पर जब दसों दिशाओं में अंधकार फैल गया, तब एक वृक्ष के नीचे उसे लुटेरों ने धर दबाया और शीघ्र ही उसके प्राण ले लिए। उसके धर्म का लोप हो गया था, इसलिए वह बड़ा भयानक प्रेत हुआ। उसका पुत्र बड़ा धर्मात्मा और वेदों का विद्वान था। उसने अब तक पिता के लौट आने की राह देखी। जब वे नहीं आए, तब उनका पता लगाने के लिए वह स्वयं भी घर छोड़कर चल दिए। वह प्रतिदिन खोज करते, मगर राहगीरों से पूछने पर भी उसे उनका कुछ समाचार नहीं मिला था। तब एक दिन एक मनुष्य से उनकी भेंट हुई, जो उसके पिता के सहायक था। उससे सारा हाल जानकर उसने पिता की मृत्यु पर बहुत शोक किया। वह बड़ा बुद्धिमान था। बहुत कुछ सोच विचार कर पिता का पारलौकिक कर्म करने की इच्छा से आवश्यक सामग्री साथ ले उसने काशी जाने का विचार किया। मार्ग में 7-8 मुकाम डालकर वह 90 दिन उसी वृक्ष के नीचे पहुंचा, जहां उसके पिता मारे गए थे। उस स्थान पर उसने संध्योपासना की और गीता के तीसरे अध्याय का पाठ किया। इसी समय आकाश में बड़ी भयानक आवाज सुनी। उसने अपने पिता को भयंकर आकार में देखा। फिर तुरंत ही अपने सामने आकाश में उसे एक सुंदर विमान दिखाई दिया, जो महान तेजस से व्याप्त था। उसमें अनेकों क्षुद्र घंटिकाएं लगी थी। उसके तेज से समस्त दिशाएं आलोकित हो रही थी। यह दृश्य देखकर उसे उसके चित्त की व्याग्रता दूर हो गई। उसने विमान पर अपने पिता को दिव्य रूप धारण किए विराजमान देखा। उनके शरीर पर पीतांबर शोभा पा रहा था और मुनिजन उनकी स्तुति कर रहे थे। उन्हें देखते ही पुत्र ने प्रणाम किया। तब पिता ने भी उन्हें आशीर्वाद दिया। तत्पश्चात उसने पिता से यह सारा वृतांत पूछा। उसके उत्तर में पिता ने सब बातें बताकर इस प्रकार कहना आरंभ किया, बेटा, देववश मेरे निकट गीता के तृतीय अध्याय का पाठ करके तुमने इस शरीर के द्वारा किए हुए सारे कर्म बंधन से मुझे छुड़ा दिया है। अतः अब घर लौट जाओ, क्योंकि जिसके लिए तुम काशी जा रहे हो, वह प्रयोजन इस समय तृतीय अध्याय के पाठ से ही सिद्ध हो गया है। पिता के यूं कहने पर पुत्र ने पूछा, ततः मेरे हित का उपदेश दीजिए तथा और कोई कार्य जो मेरे लिए करने योग्य हो तो बताइए। तब पिता ने उसे कहा, अनग, तुम्हें यही कार्य फिर करना है। मैंने जो कर्म किया है वही मेरे भाइयों ने भी किया था। इससे वे घोर नरक में पड़े हैं। उनका भी तुम्हें उद्धार करना चाहिए तथा मेरे कुल के और भी जितने लोग नरक में पड़े हैं उन सबका भी तुम्हें तुम्हारे द्वारा उद्धार होना चाहिए। यही मेरा मनोरथ है बेटा। जिस साधन के द्वारा तुमने मुझे संकट से छुड़ाया है उसी का अनुष्ठान औरों के लिए भी करना उचित है। उसका अनुष्ठान करके उससे होने वाले पुण्य उस नर की जीवों को संकल्प करने करके दे दो। इससे वे समस्त पूर्वज मेरी ही तरह यातना से मुक्त हो स्वकल्पना में ही श्री विष्णु के परम पद को प्राप्त हो जाएंगे। पिता का यह संदेश सुनकर पुत्र ने कहा, तात, यदि ऐसी बात है और आपकी भी इसी में रुचि है तो मैं समस्त नार की जीवों का नरक से उद्धार कर दूंगा। यह सुनकर उसके पिता बोले, बेटा, एव मस्तु, तुम्हारा कल्याण हो। मेरा अत्यंत प्रिय कार्य संपन्न हो गया। इस प्रकार पुत्र को आश्वासन देकर उसके पिता भगवान विष्णु को के परम धाम को चले गए। तत्पश्चात वह भी लौटकर जन स्थान में आया और परम सुंदर भगवान श्री कृष्ण के मंदिर में उनके समक्ष बैठकर पिता के अनुसार गीता के तीसरे अध्याय का पाठ करने लगा। उसने नार के जीवों का उद्धार उद्धार करने की इच्छा से गीता पाठ जनित सारा पुण्य संकल्प करके दे दिया। श्रीमद् भागवत गीता का उपदेश मनुष्य मात्र के अनुभव पर आधारित है। इसका दिव्य उपदेश आरंभ करने पर सबसे पहले भगवान यह स्पष्ट करते हैं कि शरीर और शरीर की एक दूसरे से सर्वदा भिन्न है। शरीर अनित्य, असत, एकादशीय और नाशवान है तथा शरीर की नित्य, सत, सर्वव्यापी और अविनाशी है। अतः नाशवान वस्तु का विनाश देखकर दुखी नहीं होना और अविनाशी वस्तु की अविनाशिता देखकर उसे बनाए रखने की इच्छा नहीं करना विवेक कहा जाता है। कर्मयोग, ज्ञान योग और भक्ति योग तीनों ही योग मार्गों में विवेक की बड़ी आवश्यकता है। मैं शरीर से सर्वथा भिन्न हूँ, ऐसा विवेक होने पर ही मुक्ति की अभिलाषा जागृत होती है। मुक्ति की बात तो दूर रही, स्वर्ग आदि की प्राप्ति की कामना भी अपने अपने को शरीर से अलग मानने पर ही उत्पन्न होती है। इसीलिए भगवान अपने उपदेश का आरंभ करते ही सबसे पहले विवेक का ही वर्णन करते हैं। गीता का उपयुक्त विवेक प्रकरण दूसरे अध्याय के 11वें श्लोक से प्रारंभ होकर 30वें श्लोक पर समाप्त होता है। विवेक के इस प्रकरण में भगवान ने आत्मा, अनात्मा, प्रकृति, पुरुष, ब्रह्म, अविद्या, ईश्वर, जीव, जगत, माया आदि किसी भी दार्शनिक शब्द का प्रयोग नहीं किया है। प्रयुक्त सभी मनुष्य सरलता से समझ सके ऐसे ढंग से भगवान ने उसका विवेचन किया है। इसका तात्पर्य यह है कि मात्र मनुष्य परमात्मा प्राप्ति के अधिकारी हैं, क्योंकि मनुष्य शरीर प्रात्मा प्राप्ति के लिए ही मिला है। अतः उपर्युक्त विवेक को महत्व देकर मात्र मनुष्य परमात्मा प्राप्ति कर सकते हैं। तो आज हम गीता जी के तीसरे अध्याय कर्ण योग के श्लोक 1 से 8 का अध्ययन करेंगे और इसका शुरू करते हैं आज के सत्र का लिंगाष्टकम से। धन्यवाद।
ब्रह्ममुरारिसुरार्चितलिङ्गं निर्मलभासितशोभितलिङ्गं जन्मजदुःखविनाशकलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं देवमुनिप्रवरार्चितलिङ्गं कामदहन् करुणाकरलिङ्गं रावणदर्पविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं
सर्वसुगन्धसुलेपितलिङ्गं बुद्धिविवर्धनकारणलिङ्गं सिद्धशुरासुरवन्दितलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं
कनकमहामणिभूषितलिङ्गं फणिपतिवेष्टितशोभितलिङ्गं दक्षसुयज्ञनिनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं
कुङ्कुमचन्दनलेपितलिङ्गं पङ्कजहारशुशोभितलिङ्गं सञ्चित्पापविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
देवगणार्चितसेवितलिङ्गं भावैर्भक्तिभिरेव च लिङ्गं दिनकरकोटिप्रभाकरलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
अष्टदलोपरिवेष्टितलिङ्गं सर्वसमुद्भवकारणलिङ्गम् अष्टदरिद्रविनाशनलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
सुरगुरुसुरवरपूजितलिङ्गं सुरवनपुष्पसदार्चितलिङ्गं परात्परं परमात्मकलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गं तत्प्रणमामि सदा शिवलिङ्गम्
नमस्कार। आज के सत्र का हमने आरंभ लिंगाष्टकम से किया और महान कवि कालिदास के शब्दों में स्तोत्रम कस्य न तुष्टये, इस वचन के अनुसार विश्व में ऐसा कोई भी प्राणी नहीं है जो स्तुति से प्रसन्न ना हो सकता हो। राजनीति के ग्रंथों में कहा गया है कि साम या स्तुति द्वारा राक्षस आदि भयंकर सत्व भी वशीभूत हो जाते हैं। इसलिए दंड, भेद, दान आदि नीतियों में साम या स्तुति को प्रशंसा के लिए सर्वश्रेष्ठ माना गया है। आज के दिवस पे, जबकि आज कन्या संक्रांति है और आज के दिन के इस शुभ अवसर पर हमने आज का सत्र का आरंभ लिंगाष्टकम से किया है। आइए थोड़ा सा इस विषय में जानते हैं। ये जो लिंगाष्टकम है, ये स्तुति भगवान शिव के लिंग रूप की स्तुति है और इसमें कि जैसा कि जो स्तोत्रकार हैं वो ये कह रहे हैं कि ब्रह्म मुरारी सुरार्चित लिंगम निर्भासितम शोभित लिंगम जन्मजा दुख विनाशक लिंगम तत्प्रणमामि सदाशिव लिंगम. That is, I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is worshipped by Brahma, Vishnu, and other Dev, which is pure and resplendent, and which destroys sorrows of birth. Dev Muni Pravararchit Lingam, Kamadahan Karunakar Lingam, Ravan Darpa Vinashana Lingam, Tat Pranami Sadashiv Lingam. I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is worshipped by great sages and devas, which destroyed the god of love, which showers mercy, and which destroyed the pride of Ravan. Sarva Sugandha Sulepita Lingam, Buddhi Vivardhana Karana Lingam, Siddha Surasar Vandita Lingam, Tat Pranamami Sadashiv Lingam. And before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is anointed by perfumes, which leads to the growth of wisdom, and which is worshipped by sages, Dev, and Asurs. Kanak Mahamani Bhushita Lingam, Phanipati Veshtita Shobhita Lingam, Dakshi Suyagya Ninashana Lingam, Tata Pranamami Sadashiv Lingam. I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is ornamented by gold and great jewels, which shines with the snake being with it, and which destroyed the yagna of Daksha. Kumkum Chandan Lepit Lingam, Pankaj Har Sushobhit Lingam, Sanchit Papa Vinashana Lingam, Tat Pranamami Sadashiv Lingam. I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is adorned by sandal paste and saffron, which wears the garland of lotus flowers, and which can destroy accumulated sins. Dev Ganachit Sevit Lingam, Bhaver Bhakti Bhirev Chalingam, Dinakar Koti Prabhakar Lingam, Tat Pranamami Sadashiv Lingam. I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is served by gods and other beings, which is the doorway for devotion and good thought, and which shines like billions of suns. Ashtadalo Pariveshit Lingam, Parveshtit Lingam, Sarva Samadbhava Karad Lingam, Ashtadaridra Vinashana Lingam, Tat Pranamami Sadashiva Lingam. I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is surrounded by 8 petals, which is the prime reason of all riches and which destroys 8 types of poverty. Surgaru Survar Pujat Lingam, Survan Pushp Sadarchit Lingam, Paratpar Paramatakam Lingam, Tat Pranamami Sadashiva Lingam. I bow before that lingam, which is the eternal Shiva, which is worshipped by the teacher of gods, which is worshipped by the best of gods, which is always worshipped by the flowers from the garden of gods, which is the eternal abode, and which is the ultimate truth. At the end, there is a praise, and there is a reason why the reasons are given why should we chant Lingashtkam. That is, anyone who chants the holy octet of Lingam, that is Lingashtkam, in the holy presence of Lord Shiva, would in the end reach the world of Shiva and keep in company. With all this, I would rest my voice and say Om Namah Shivaya, and I will take this opportunity to invite Mohit for the next session, where he's going to talk about the chapter 2, that is the Samkhya Yoga, which we've already completed. He's going to summarize that chapter. Let us welcome Mohit.
Namaste to all. I will try to summarize chapter 2 up to shloka 45. Now let's just start with chanting Shanti Mantra. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvina Vaditamastu Mavidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so let's begin with the 14th shloka of Samkhya Yoga, chapter number 2 of Bhagavad Gita. We were discussing about the nature of consciousness and how does thoughts appear in the field of our consciousness and what are the origins of it. So we cannot predict our thoughts no matter how hard we try. Okay, so in that order, we will try to understand this shloka, which is 14th shloka of chapter 2. This shloka is Matra Sparshastu Konteya Sitoshna Sukha Dukkhada Agama Paino Nitya Stantik Tikshakswa Bharata. So this basically means the context of the senses with the object, O son of Kunti, which cause heat and cold, pleasure and pain, have a beginning and an end. They are impermanent. Endure them bravely, or O Arjuna. Okay. So this means that in the field of consciousness, we have so many feelings. Okay, we have sometimes we are hopeful, sometimes we are fearful, sometimes we are in ecstasy, sometimes we are happy. So these are different distinct emotions that we are identified from time to time. So if we have a mirror, okay, so let's take an analogy of mirror. If we have a mirror, whatever we keep in front of that mirror, the mirror will show us that. Okay, so the nature of consciousness is like that. Whatever emotion you are feeling, you instantly identify it with it. But you are consciousness. You are not that emotion. For example, if I instruct you to think about now, if I instruct you to meditate on a particular theme, and if I tell you to think about a red bus, okay, so you will think about a red bus. So immediately a red bus will appear in your mind, and you keep imagining about that red bus based on whatever past experiences you had in past. Okay, so and now if I say change the color of that bus, change that color to blue, change the color to green, and instantly after that, if I tell you think about an potato, whatever, I can instruct you anything. Okay, so your mind will think about that object. Okay, so so what is happening in the daily lives with the normal human beings like us is we think of various thoughts. So these thoughts, and we immediately identify with, if you are feeling something, if I'm waiting for a result, okay, so we are constantly thinking about the result. So we identify with that anxiety, but that anxiety is not us. And then after some time, when the result comes up, and you pass the exam, then that anxiety will convert into happiness. So that is another emotion, and that is not you. Okay, so this emotion keeps on changing. So taking that analogy, we have this field of consciousness, and in this field of consciousness, we have various our sense objects uh, give us inputs of various things like cold and heat. So Bhagavan is trying to explain that these things are like the pleasure and pain are also like the heat and cold that we experience from the outside. Okay, so pleasure and pain also in the mind are also the product of outside circumstances. Okay, so they don't have to do anything with the soul, which is our true nature. Okay, and these things have a beginning and an end. So no emotion can last forever. Okay, so the love that we sometimes refer Bhagwan as love is because uh, uh, Bhagwan is not we do not refer there love as emotion. Okay, so love there is the absence of all the emotions. So their nature is impermanent, as we know it. Okay, so they keep changing. Sometimes we are feeling distinct emotions based on our life circumstances. So in this shloka, Bhagwan trying to explain that all these things, all these external stimulus can change your emotions. So these things are not permanent, so you don't have to identify with them. So this is the meaning of this first shloka. Okay. So now coming to the next shloka. Next slide. Okay. So in the next slide, we have shlok number 15. Yam hina Vyasayantyete Purusham Purushashaba Samadukka Sukham Dhiram Soma Mritvaya Kalpate. And the meaning of this shloka is the hero whose soul is unmoved by circumstance, who accepts pleasure and pain with equanimity, only he is fit for immortality. Okay. So immortality, one another word for immortality is moksha. So who is eligible for moksha? So Bhagavan explains in this shloka that a person who is neither affected by the pain nor pleasure is qualified for the ultimate destination, which is called moksha. Okay, so moksha is also immortality, because in that state of nirvana, okay, nirvana means actually means that which is not. Okay, so become non-existent is attaining the state of nirvana. So if you want to attain that state, you have to practice equanimity within yourself. By equanimity, what do we mean? We mean that you don't have to identify with your emotions, and you don't desire for a particular outcome. You are so involved in the process that you don't desire for a particular outcome. You are outcome independent. So in this situation, you are unmoved by the circumstances. Whatever happens, and you do your own thing without pleasure and pain. Okay, pleasure and pain only come when you expect a particular outcome and then you don't get it. Okay, so if you do every action with equanimity, then your whole life becomes a karma yoga, a yoga in itself. So then you are fit for immortality, attaining moksha or nirvana. So this shlok particularly has that theme of the previous shloka also. So next shloka. This is shloka number 18. Okay. So what does it say? Antavanta ime deha nitya choktaha sharirinaha. It means that antavanta ime deha. The body has to die. Okay. That which is born will have to die at some point. So the body will have to die, the physical body, which is in the foundation of time and space. It has to die. At some point, it will die. But what we really are, we are the soul. And what is the nature of soul? It was never born. It will never die. It is changeless. Okay. And it has all the Kal within it. Okay. It has a past, present, future all at once within it. So it is changeless. Okay. So if we identify with the Atma, then the fear disappears. Basically, it means that. And if you identify with something that is temporary, which is our body and emotions, so anxiety will be a natural consequence of that. And in the next line, we have Anashino aprameyasya tasmadidyasva bharatam. So we have seen in the chapter first, Arjun Vishad Yoga. So in Arjun Vishad Yoga, Arjun is full of Vishad and he does not want to fight with his relatives. So Bhagwan is motivating him on from every aspect. Okay, from the point of view of an atheist, from the point of view of a believer, everything. Okay, so Bhagwan is saying the nature of your soul is anashino. Anashino means that which does not destroy itself. Okay, that never destroy. And aprameyasya in mathematics we have theorems. Okay, in Hindi we call theorems prameya. So prameya, by prameya we mean that which is provable, but the soul is not provable by any means. Okay, because it is beyond the human logic, human perception. So aprameyasya anashino aprameyasya tasmadidyasya bharata. Your true nature is soul, which does not die and which does not change and which cannot be proven by your logical thinking. So leaving all your fears aside, you need to fight right now. So Bhagwan is preaching, basically preaching to become fearless to Arjuna. Okay, next slide. Okay, in the next slide, we have the shloka called 28th shloka of chapter 2. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidananyeva tatra ka parivedana. Okay, so one more dose of fearlessness. And what is it? So I'll just read this a beautiful paragraph to you. The reality is that the current version of you have been dead, non-existent for the history of the universe. Okay, so and it's 10 billion years. So we physicists believe because it is not so well established by the theory that Big Bang happened 14 billion years ago, but roughly, if approximately, we believe that the universe is 10 billion years or more than that old. Okay, so we are the current version of us. We have some particular genetics which we have acquired from our parents. We have grown up in a particular environment. We have grown up. We have some particular relations with our relatives, friends. Okay, these all things and at a place also, and at the desha and kal. These two things in which we are born influence us, and the current version of us is the product of it. Okay, so the current version of us was non-existent for the previous 10 million years ago, years or more. Okay, so and we will be dead we will be non-existent after the death also, and you will be dead, non-existent for the next 70 billion years or so until the hit death of universe. So we believe that in the end, what will remain in the universe are black holes, and the black holes will eat out the universe, and it will be a hit death of the universe. So, and we will be non-existent for the 70 billion years. Anything you do will fade. So anything we are doing right now seems very meaningful to us. We take ourselves very seriously, but it will not matter as you think in your mind in the long term. Okay, it will disappear, just like the human race will disappear and the planet will disappear. Get to Mars, even that group will disappear. No one is going to remember you passed a certain number of generations, whether you are an artist or a poet or a conqueror or a physicist or nothing. So in this shloka, what Bhagwan is basically preaching is, Arjuna, you need not take yourself so seriously that you give up on your current duties. Okay. So what happens with us that in our daily lives, we take our life circumstances, our relations, everything so seriously, as if it's a unique predicament for only us and only we are suffering. So we need to take ourselves out of that trap and uh, leave that suffering aside and perform our duties. So basically, this shlok means that. Next slide. So the next slide is Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayo na Vidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. Okay, so if you practice equanimity, this shlok means if you practice equanimity, if you stay the same, if you remain the same with a equanimous state of mind in the positions of Jay, Parajay, Labh, and Alabh. Okay, Sukha, Dukhe, Samay Kritva, Labha, Labho, Jaya, Jayo. In the happiness and in pain. Okay, if you remain the same, if you maintain that equanimity within yourself, so that practice of Samatva Bhav, that practice of equanimity will free you from even the greatest fears like death. Okay, so to understand this thing with the context, Bhagwan says that every material thing that we consume or we do to acquire something, to get a particular result, these all things have some order in itself. Okay, so if you want to, if you fall sick and if you want to get better, you will take some medicines. Okay, and if you have to take those medicines in some particular order. Okay, if you don't take those medicines in a particular time or order in dose, you will die. Okay, so all material things that we use to get something, that have a certain order. Okay, so Bhagwan is saying, if you practice this samatva bhav, this equanimity, even a little bit in your actions, okay, it has an imperishable outcome. Okay, the phal does not ever die. Okay, so what happens in our daily karmas is that we perform a particular karma and then we get outcome depending on the karma. Okay, but if you practice samatva bhav, equanimity, then it will free you from the greatest fear like death. So I will just try to read this paragraph a little bit. Here in Karma Yoga, there is no loss of abhikrama or of effort that has been put in. Loss means the loss of efficacy to bring about the fruits. In Karma Yoga, if work is begun and left unfinished, okay, so here is a very important point. Okay, so in Sanatan Dharma, it is said that at the moment of your death, whatever you wish, you become in the next life. Okay, so if you have been a very good person throughout your life, and at the moment of death, if you wish to eat a mango, then you will become a insect in the next birth to eat that mango. Okay, so whatever thinking thought process you have in the very end moment of your life, at the moment of your death, you will become that in the next moment. Okay, so if you practice that samatva bhava, okay, you will have no desire of the outcome. Okay, so in that tranquility, in that equanimity, if you're performing some actions, okay, you will not desire any particular outcome, and hence you will be free of the bondages. So like it's been said here, even a little of this dharma, known as karma yoga, nishkam karma, gives protection from the great fear, the fear of transmigratory existence. You will not born in the next life. You will attain the ultimate state. The same purport is explained later thus: neither in this world nor the next, Arjuna, there is annihilation for him. Okay, and the fruit of that action, that samatva bhava, does not ever annihilate itself. Okay, it does not end like the ordinary karmas. Shri Krishna distinguishes the buddhi or mental disposition concerned with those acts which constitute a means for attaining release from those which are concerned with the acts meant for gaining the desired objects. Okay, so the meaning of this entire shloka is that if we practice samatva bhav, then the fruits of the samatva bhav will only add up. It will not destroy like the ordinary karma. Okay, so even a little practice of that samatva bhav in your actions, the tranquility, the equanimity of your mind can save you from the greatest of fears. Okay, next slide. व्यवसात्मिका बुद्धिरेकेह कुरुनंदन बहुशाका किनंताश्च बुद्धयो vyavasayinam. So in this karma yoga, Arjuna, the resolute mind is 1.8. The minds of the irresolute are many branched and endless. So I have given an example to understand this a particular shloka. We have seen in the Western world that the Western woke nonsense. Okay, the war on gender identity, identifying oneself with the particular gender. Okay, they have approximately the last time I was reading about this phenomena, this strange phenomena. They had 80 or 100 genders, different genders. Okay, and they keep on inventing new genders. So inventing new social models to maximize the pleasures of senses. Okay, so they have their own theories of how does it all work. Okay, which is not true, by the way. The horrible consequences of woke ideology are already evident in the West. Okay, families are destroying. There is no value in the society. Okay, everybody is becoming less trustworthy. So there is a great trust deficit in the Western world, and now it's coming to our country also. Okay, and even our judiciary is verifying those kind of behaviors, justifying those kind of behaviors. So these people are doomed because they do not have what we are calling a nishyatmika buddhi. So nishyatmika buddhi means having your intellect firm in one-pointedness of your intellect. Okay, so believing in a particular thing. So if we for example take a musician. Okay, if a musician is been playing a sitar for the throughout his life, then he has nishyatmika buddhi in that. So in that particular action, so it will also liberate him. It has the potential to liberate him. If you are for example, if you are a physics teacher and if you are so involved in your karma, okay, so that nishyatmika buddhi, that one-pointedness has the potential to liberate you. But if you form new opinions, new ideologies, and keep on engaging with this mindless activities, then there is no hope for you. So the shlok basically means this. In the next shloka, in the next slide, we have a very beautiful words from Bhaj Govindam Stotra, which is written by the great Indian philosopher for some, Guru for some, and Bhagwan for people like me. This shloka is from Bhaj Govindam Stotra, written by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, explains the same thing, which is Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischaltatvam, Nischaltatve Jivan Mukti. So what do we have to do for the liberation, for attaining moksha, for attaining immortality? So there is a very simple formula for it. It is satsang se vairagya. Okay, by talking this spirituality with your friends and in your close groups, relatives. Okay, this is called satsanga. Okay, talking about good things, which is dharma, which is adharma, and how can we follow dharma in our daily lives. All these things are called satsanga. Okay, so nitya, anitya, vichar is called satsanga. So what is permanent, what is impermanent, and what actions are good in the long term, and which actions are not good in the long term. So these discussions are called satsanga. So if we do enough satsanga, then there is vairagya in us. Okay, and out of that vairagya, vivek is born. Okay, and from vivek, identifying what is good for me and what is not good for me. Okay, from that vivek, the tattva gyan, sthir tattva gyan is born. Okay, tattva gyan means Nishyatmika buddhi basically. Okay, and that Nishyatmika buddhi will liberate you, will get you moksha. Okay, so this shloka is also saying the same thing as we had in the previous shloka, 41 shloka of the second chapter. And in the next slide, which is our final slide, we have this shloka, which is called Trigunya Vishaya Veda Nistrigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavana. So all this, the world is dancing between these three qualities called Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. Okay, so all normal human beings are identify themselves with these three qualities. Okay, and Bhagwan is telling Arjuna to rise beyond these three qualities which bind the man. Okay, which are called as I said, Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva. So if you go beyond all these three qualities, then what happens is you will attain a state which is called Nistre Gunyo Bhavarjuna. So become gunless. Okay, do not identify with this three gunas. The Vedas bind by means of the three strings. Okay, so in Veda they have preached about this three strings without which life is not possible. Okay, so we are not hating these gunas here. We are just understanding them, and don't let our body identify with the true nature of us. Or Arjuna, you must be free from the three strings, free from the pairs of opposites, be established in this eternal being, be free from the idea of obtaining something and preserving it, and be possessed of the self. हमको सिर्फ आत्मा के द्वारा खुद को अनुभव करना है. और as in this shloka Bhagwan is saying, all human beings desire of something. Okay, and once they acquire it, they will try to preserve it. So in this both these things we have foundation. Okay, so we need to be free of it. So in this shloka, Nirdvando, I mean race beyond the dualities, become situated in the sattva first, and then Nirgyokshema. Do not try to associate with something, and do not try to preserve something, and be possessed in the self. So this is the summary up to the 45th shloka of the chapter 2, and we'll try to understand the next 70 shloka up to 72nd in the next session. Okay, thank you for your patience. I hope I have made my point.
तो आइए इसी के साथ शुरू करते हैं आज का सत्र अध्याय 3। वहाँ पे हम पहले श्लोक से लेकर 8वें श्लोक।
Okay, now we start the chapter 3, remembering the omnipresent Paramatma, Bhagwan Shri Krishna. अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः अर्जुन उवाच जायसि चेत् कर्मणस्ते मता बुद्धिर्जनार्दन tat kim karmani gore mam niyojayasi Keshava. So Bhagwan has preached about all these attributes of Atma. Now Arjuna is arguing that if Gyan Marg is Shrestha, if knowledge is Shrestha, knowledge is superior, then why are you engaging me into this, all this duties, performing duties and fighting the war and fighting war with my relatives? Okay, so if someone attains the Jnana, is that not enough for that individual? Arjuna is arguing that. In the next shloka, Vyamishreneva Vyakyena Buddhi Mohaya Sivame Tadekam Vadanischintya Yena Shreyo Hamapniyam. So what does it mean? So in this shloka, आप मिले हुए से वचनों से मेरी बुद्धि को मानो मोहित कर रहे हैं, इसलिए उस एक बात को निश्चित करके कहिए जिससे मैं कल्याण को प्राप्त हो जाऊं. So Arjuna wants one liner here. Okay, so he is feeling bit confused between karma yoga and jnana yoga. Okay, so he wants a one liner from Bhagwan. So in the next shloka, Shri Bhagwan uvacha lokesmin dvividha nishtha pura prokta maya naga jnana yogena sankhyanam कर्म योगेन योगिनाम. श्री भगवान बोले, हे निष्पाप, इस श्लोक में दो प्रकार की निष्ठा मेरे द्वारा पहले कही गई है. उनमें से सांख्य योगियों की निष्ठा तो ज्ञान योग से और योगियों की निष्ठा कर्म योग से होती है. मतलब जिस प्रकार के आप व्यक्ति हैं उस प्रकार से आप डिफरेंट पाथ को फॉलो कर सकते हैं. इफ यू आर समवन हु बिलीव्स इन नॉलेज, then you can go for the knowledge path. Okay, and if you believe in karma and if you are more action biased person, then you can perform this karma yoga path. Okay, so it depends on the person. So in the next shloka, we'll just recite the shlokas for now and we will elaborate it later. Na karmana mana rambane karmyam purusho shrutne na cha सन्य सनादेव सिद्धिम समधिगच्छति. मनुष्य न तो कर्मों का आरंभ किए बिना निष्कर्मता को यानी योग्य निष्ठा को प्राप्त होता है और न कर्मों के केवल त्याग मात्र से सिद्धि यानी सांख्य निष्ठा को ही प्राप्त होता है. सो दिस श्लोका इवन हैव अ वेरी डीपर मीनिंग. सो विल जस्ट जंप टू द नेक्स्ट श्लोका. नहीं कश्चित क्षणमपि जातु तिष्ठयत् कर्म कृत कार्यते ह्यवश कर्म सर्वः प्रकृति जय गुणे. सो निसंदेह कोई भी मनुष्य किसी भी काल में क्षण मात्र भी बिना कर्म किए नहीं रह सकता. और आगे भगवान भी बताएंगे कि मुझे इस तीनों लोकों में कोई भी वस्तु दुर्लभ नहीं है. मतलब देयर इज नथिंग व्हिच आई कैन नॉट अटेन. देन आल्सो आई डू नॉट रिमेन एक्शनलेस. सो तब भी मैं बिना कर्म किए नहीं रहता हूँ, क्योंकि सारा मनुष्य समुदाय प्रकृति जनित गुणों द्वारा परवश हुआ कर्म करने के लिए. जैसा कि हमने डिस्कस किया था इससे पिछले स्लाइड्स के अंदर कि प्रकृति का जो स्वभाव है वो इन तीनों गुणों से मिलकर बनता है, सत्व रजस और तमस, और इन तीनों गुणों के बिना पृथ्वी नहीं चल सकती है. ठीक है, तो कोई भी मनुष्य, कोई भी इवन प्रकृति में जो भी प्रकृति के अंदर है जो भी वस्तु, वो कोई भी वस्तु बिना कर्म किए नहीं रह सकती. और भगवान आगे बोलेंगे कि मैं भी कर्म में अपनी श्रद्धा रखता हूँ, जबकि मुझे कोई भी वस्तु ऐसी नहीं है जो मुझे अप्राप्य है. कर्मेंद्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरण इंद्रियार्थान विमूढ़ आत्मा मिथ्याचार स उच्यते. जो मूढ़ बुद्धि मनुष्य समस्त इंद्रियों को हठपूर्वक ऊपर से रोककर मन से उन इंद्रियों के विषयों का चिंतन करता है, वह मिथ्याचारी अर्थात दंभी कहलाता है. मतलब जो व्यक्ति ऐसा मानता है कि खाली इंद्रियों के इनपुट्स के ऊपर भरोसा है, उसका ना तो कर्म पे भरोसा है ना ज्ञान मार्ग पे भरोसा है. ठीक है, तो इस प्रकार का हठ पूर्वक कर्म करने वाला जो व्यक्ति है, जो मूढ़ बुद्धि मनुष्य है, वो इंद्रियों के विषयों का ही चिंतन कर, वो मिथ्याचारी मतलब इफ यू ट्रस्ट इन इल्यूजन्स देन यू विल बी कॉल्ड मिथ्याचारी. इफ यू ट्रस्ट इन द थिंग व्हिच इज permanent like Paramatma in Atma, then you will be called a person who believes in the Sat. Okay. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya rabaterjuna karmendriye karma yogam aksakta savishishyate. ये तो है अर्जुन, जो पुरुष मन से इंद्रियों को वश में करके अनासक्त हुआ समस्त इंद्रियों कर्म योग का आचरण करता है वही श्रेष्ठ है। मतलब कर्म योग करने के लिए यहाँ पे क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है? अनासक्ति। अगर आप कर्मों में अनासक्त हो तो आप में फलेच्छा रहेगी कि मुझे क्या आउटकम मिलेगा इस कर्म से, अच्छा मिलेगा बुरा मिलेगा, उससे एंजाइटी क्रिएट होगी, वो आपके अल्टीमेटली किसको अफेक्ट करेगी? आपके जो प्रोसेस है कर्म का उसको अफेक्ट करेगी। तो यहाँ पर पहली रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है कर्म योग के लिए? कि आपको अनासक्त होना जरूरी है उस कर्म से। कर्म को कर्म के योग के हिसाब से करना है, कर्म योग के हिसाब से करना है। आपको उसमें कोई भी अपना स्वार्थ नहीं देखना है, ठीक है? स्वार्थ आया और वहां पे हम हमारा अस्तित्व जो वास्तविक अस्तित्व है वो हम भूल जाते हैं। नियतम कुरु कर्मत्वम कर्म ज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः शरीर यात्रा चतेन प्रसिद्धियेत कर्मणः। तो शास्त्र विहित कर्तव्य कर्म कर, क्योंकि कर्म न करने की अपेक्षा कर्म करना श्रेष्ठ है, तथा कर्म न करने से तेरा शरीर निर्वाह भी सिद्ध नहीं होगा। So we have a theory in Sanatan Dharma that you have to exhaust all your prarabdhas in this life. Okay, if you do not perform those karmas, then at some point you will have to do it. So better exhaust all your karmas right now at this point. Okay, so these are the 8 shloka. So uh, being in action is better than actionlessness. So this is the meaning of this shloka. And after recitation of this 8 shloka, I will rest my voice here. Thank you, everyone.
नमस्ते आप सभी को। जैसा कि अभी मेरे मुझसे पूर्व जो वक्ता है मोहित ने आपके सामने श्लोक संख्या 1 से लेकर 8 तक का वाचन किया। हम अगले सप्ताह इन सारे श्लोकों पर विवेचना करेंगे, पर मैं अभी अपनी 1 से लेकर 8 तक के श्लोकों की अंग्रेजी में व्याख्या और थोड़ी मोड़ी जो मेरी समझ है वो मैं प्रस्तुत करूंगा। हालांकि इसके ऊपर हम लोग जो गहरी विवेचना है वो अगले सत्र में करेंगे। जैसा कि मोहित ने समझाया हम सभी को कि जो चैप्टर 2 है जो कि सांख्य योग है भगवान का, वह भगवान ने ब्रह्म ज्ञान निष्पादित किया है स्वयं अर्जुन को उनने बहुत से बातें बताई हैं। और अंतिम बात जो उन्होंने बताई है, जो कि हम जानते हैं, हमने पढ़ा था सांख्य योग के अंदर, वो है स्थित प्रज्ञा। सो वहां से यहाँ तक का किस तरीके से सार है, किस तरीके से ये चीजें भगवान आगे बता रहे हैं। पहली चीज तो हमें भगवान कृष्ण के प्रति इस वजह से बहुत ही ज्यादा हमें उनका क्या कह सकते हैं कि हमें बहुत ज्यादा उनके प्रति एक कृतार्थ भाव रखना है कि उन्होंने इतनी सारी बातें जो कि बहुत जटिल हैं उनको इतने कम श्लोकों के अंदर हमारे लिए सार रूप में प्रस्तुत कर दी। परंतु ये उतनी ही कठिन है जितनी कठिन मतलब इतनी आसान नहीं है, सारी चीजें बहुत ही कठिन। सो हमने इससे पहले जो सांख्य योग पढ़ा, जहां पे हम लोगों ने ज्यादातर चीजें जो हमने पढ़ी वो कि ज्ञान के प्रति हमें ले जाएंगे। ज्ञान मतलब किस ज्ञान के प्रति? हमारे अपने स्वरूप के प्रति, कि हमारा असली स्वरूप क्या, जो कि अभी मुझसे पहले मोहित ने बोला, अलग अलग श्लोकों के माध्यम से उन्हें समझाने का प्रयास किया कि क्या हमारा वास्तविक स्वरूप है, किससे हमें बचना चाहिए और किस तरीके से हमें जो हमारी परिस्थिति जन्य कारण है उनसे हमें समत्व भाव रखना चाहिए। उससे हमें बहुत ज्यादा उससे हमें फर्क नहीं पड़े, इस तरीके का हमारा भाव होना चाहिए। और आगे जो ये तीसरा अध्याय है ये है कर्म योग। That is, in English, if I say, this is communion through action. Okay. So in previous lesson of second you can say chapter, we were discussing communion through knowledge. In this, we are discussing communion through action. And why we have selected shlok from 1 to 8, there is a specific reason to this. I will come upon all these things. I'll briefly skim through all these shlokas so that you will get an idea. And for the further week, you will get an idea or food for thinking food for thinking in particular. So why we have selected 1 to 8? There is a specific reason, as I told. See, in the first 2 shloka, there is a conflict between work and contemplation. As told by my previous speaker, that Arjuna was being dictated by Lord Krishna, and he was being told by Lord Krishna about the real self and everything. Now he gets confronted upon and he says that why is there a need to even work then? If we are here only to attain liberation and everything, why should I even indulge in this work? So hearing that discourse on the you can say Sthita Pragya, Arjuna's confusion increases. And if that state of inwardness and serenity, okay, so that particular state of inwardness, that is pratyahar and serenity, depicted in this person who is Sthita Pragya, how could its pursuit be reconciled with the life of action to which Lord Krishna has been simultaneously exhorting on? Okay, so what Lord Krishna is saying, Lord Krishna is doing a difficult, like for any individual, it is a very difficult thing. He's in starting of the chapter second, he starts with saying that they and they are different. Then he goes on to say that this particular body is just like a cloth, and it's nothing that way. And he said that he said probably before, Mohit also told that this existence was not there 10 million years ago, and this will not remain as we die. So why remain so attached to this particular existence? And Lord Krishna is trying to time and again put his concentration or put his attention to the real self. That is the real self, that is the immortal Atma. Okay, or we can say in the terms of Advaita, Brahma. Okay, so therefore he poses some questions in front of Lord Krishna, and these are the first two shlokas that we are going to see. In that I'm going to soon demonstrate all those shlokas. And in the next, that is the 3 to 8 that was actually spoken by my previous speaker, Mohit, there are two paths. There are two paths. As he ended up, he told that whichever path suits you, you can take that. Now, Lord Krishna here says that there are two paths. That is, there are two ways of, you can say, the spiritual fulfillment. Okay, one of the paths can be the path of the knowledge, that is the path of the jnana, and the other path can be the path of the that is the karma yoga. Okay, that is the path of the disinterested action. No doubt they appear very different, but this will be shown later on by Lord Krishna in this particular adhyaya, or that in this particular adhyaya, that is chapter 3, that the difference is only apparent. Okay, and they can be reconciled. Okay, so there is a firm, you can say, ground of consolation between the real understanding the real existence, and also reconciling with the fact that we cannot remain actionless, we have to perform actions. Okay, so therefore in this particular adhyaya, that is adhyaya 3, the path of the action becomes the subject of the discourse. Okay, so this becomes a central theme here. Okay, so by merely abstaining from actions, man does not gain the serenity of spirit, the unperturbed state of a Sthita Pragya. Okay, so Sthita Pragya does not mean that we don't have to perform actions. This has been time and again even advocated in a previous second chapter also. Very briefly, like Karmanye Vadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana. And all those verses, you can see that time and again and again, Lord Krishna is advocating that you have to keep doing action. You have to keep doing action without having any any thought of the fulfillment, any thought of gaining something out of it. You have to remain selfless while your actions. This is what Lord Krishna is saying in the chapter 2. But as we are all aware that we people are nothing in front of the God's intellect, right? What Srishti has given to us, we are nothing. We are not even a tiny minuscule of what the Lord has given to us. So obviously, like us, like Arjuna is also again in dilemma, and therefore Lord Krishna had to again give a discourse on this karma yoga. In fact, Lord Krishna says that it is impossible for a man to live even for a minute without any action. Since why? Because see, man is physically a part of this nature. Nature is ever active. Therefore, we are compelled, like man is compelled to act. So sitting quiet and thinking that one has attained this unperturbed state, that is a sthit pragya, is nothing but hypocrisy. For such a person's mind will be always thinking about something where he's attached. Okay, let's say if he is not performing any action, and even if he is sitting idle, he is somewhere. He's somewhere. If he's somewhere where he's attached, how can one say that he's in the state of sthita pragya? So the way of spiritual development for him does not lie in abstinence from the action, but only in action performed without attachments and under the proper regulation of the senses. That is the Indriya Nigraha and Mano Nigraha that we've seen in the previous particular, you can say, chapter. Okay. So with all these thoughts, let us begin. I think we all have time, isn't it? So should I begin? Okay. So the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, as I have already told, gives, you can say, the complete Brahma Gyan. Okay. And it's a communion through knowledge. And Lord has not only given the jnana, but also he has given the procedure by which one can attain that Brahma Gyan. In fact, Sri Krishna ends the chapter 2nd, that is the Adhyaya 2nd of the Samkhya Yoga, by giving the characteristics of the Sthita Pragya. What if I don't become a Sthita Pragya? What is that Sthita Pragya? What all attributes of Sthita Pragya are? But given the Lord Krishna emphasized the importance of Sthita Pragya, Arjun thinks that Sthita Pragya is important, then why should we waste our time in doing karma? By attaining the state of Sthita Pragya, is karma also necessary? Should I engage in this war? If everything is Brahma, if you and me are all Brahma, if everything is Brahma, if Brahma is all pervading, okay, why should I even work? Okay, so this is what perturbs Lord Krishna, Arjuna, and he goes on to make inquiry in front of Lord Krishna. Before starting this particular chapter, I would like to pray in front of Lord Krishna that he gives me all the sense to make enough justice with what he has spoken. If I make certain mistake, kindly forgive me. So here I start. Jagat Jal Palam Chalat Kantamalam Sharatra Chandra Bhalam Mahadatta Kalam Namo Nilakayam Duravaaramayam Supadma Sahayam Bhajeham Bhajeham. So here I pray in front of Lord Jagannath, and I start with this chapter 3rd. And the first theme that I want to focus on, as I told, that the first two shloka are the introductory shlokas. It represents the conflict between the jnana and the karma. Okay, and is there any reconciliation between the two? Okay, so this is how every chapter has started. In previous also we have seen that the chapter starts with the Lord with Arjuna's inquisition, and now Lord Krishna is going to explain. Okay, so he says that why waste our times in duties? Okay, so the chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita taught us that the ultimate goal of human life is to realize that our true identity is Brahma. Once we reach that state, we will identify ourselves in everything and everything in ourselves. Towards this goal, Lord Krishna recommended that we start following the path of the Karma Yoga so that we can purify our minds and become eligible to realize this ultimate reality. As Sri Krishna explains, like in from I think 39 to 53 verses of the chapter 2, Karma Yoga involves doing all the duties to the best of our capabilities without expecting anything in return. Because if we are expecting anything in return, it is only because of this particular body. So Lord Krishna in chapter 2nd is giving the Brahma Gyan that go beyond this body. This is not your real existence. Only if you remain attached to this body, only if you remain attached to the Sukha Dukha, Labh, Jivan Maran, these are all the attachments due to this body. Okay, and Lord Krishna is in time and again in chapter 2nd is telling that you are beyond this body. You are not this body. Okay, understand your real existence, and only if you understand your real existence, only then you can become Sthit Pragya and everything follows. Okay, everybody thinks that okay, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana is very easy. No, it's not very easy, because it cannot happen to all those people who are very much attached to their body, their senses, their pleasures. It cannot be the case. One has to understand that what he really is or what she really is. Only when when he resides into himself, in true sense, when one becomes spiritual, or at least one takes up the spiritual journey of a Brahma Jigyasa, only then one can make justice with the doctrine of the Nishkama Karma, which is told by Lord Krishna. So, like us, like we people are asking that, okay, why? Let's say if everything was Brahma, why should we even be indulging in duties? Okay, let me sit under the tree, not do anything, and why not? Why should I waste my time in doing all these duties? Why should I go and do all these chores here and there? So, like this, Arjuna also asked, and he asked that why should I focus on the spiritual journey to realize Brahma, and why should like what we think? Why should we not leave everything and go to Himalayas, right? And that way we can stop getting distracted by our duties and may potentially make faster spiritual progress. This is what we think. And just like us, Arjuna also asked to the Lord Krishna the same in verse number 1 and 3, 1 and 2. That is, Arjuna says that Jayasi Cheta Karmaste Mata Buddhir Janardana Tatkim Karmani Ghore Mam Niyojasi Keshava. And in the second verse, he says that Vyami Shredeva Vakyena Buddhim Moha Yasivame Tadekam Vada Nishachitya Yena Shreya Aham Apunyam. Sorry for the translation. Sorry for this issues. But understand that what Lord Krishna says. He says that, O Janardana, if you consider that attaining self-realization is the only goal of the life, then why are you asking me to fight this fratricidal war? Why are you saying me to fight this war where there would be only bloodshed? I'm confused by your ambiguous advice. This is what Lord Krishna, he says to Lord Krishna. He says that I'm confused by your ambiguous advice. So this is what happens when actually Lord would come up to say us, and because we are so engrossed in Maya, we are so engrossed in attachment that we'll say that, okay, your advice is ambiguous. Whatever you are saying is ambiguous. Okay, so he goes on to say that I am confused by your ambiguous advice. Please tell me definitely one path that will be most beneficial for me. This is what Mohit also told. And the question is, can we really focus on the spiritual path, leaving everything? Okay. And in fact, he goes on to say that my intellect is bewildered by your ambiguous advice, and please suggest me one path. But the question really is, what is the question? Question really is, can we really focus on spiritual path, leaving everything? Okay. So for this, let us do an experiment. Okay. Can we really focus on the spiritual path, leaving everything? This is what the question is. Now just think for a moment, close your eyes, focus on your chosen deity. Let's say you pray to Lord Shiva, you pray to probably Lord Krishna, you pray to probably Lord Ram, probably Hanuman, anybody, probably to Shakti. Close your eyes and focus on your chosen deity non-stop, even for 2 minutes. Try doing it. Can we do it? The answer to this is certainly no. Within a second, our brain will start to flood with the thoughts, our organ will start picking up the external disturbances, and we'll get distracted. It happens due to our passionate attachment to the body. Okay. And because, see, this body, why we are born? This body that we have attained in this life is because of the prarabdha karma. Okay. We are here to repay our debts. So we have to repay our debts. If we are not repaying our debts, we are not doing the justice to this particular creation of the God. In fact, you're not even the creator. You don't have any say in this. You have done some commitments in the previous birth to many people around. You have to make that particular repayment anyhow. So you cannot go beyond this dharma of this body. Okay. So understand that this particular body that you've got, you are born to repay and reap the prarabdha karma. Okay, it is just like a heavy ball rolling down a hill. Just you can say that the ball is completely under the control of the gravity. Our body and mind is completely under the control of the prarabdha karma. We cannot just give up the body. We cannot just give up the karma that we have to do. Okay, so we are born here to pay some debts. We have to do it anyhow. Okay, or understand the point. In Hindi, I should say, every time someone makes me any comment of saying that why am I here in front of you, why am I listening to you, or why am I advocating or advising something, I always say that मेरा कर्जा है तुम पे और तुम्हारा मेरे पे कर्जा है, इसलिए मैं यहाँ कुछ चुकाना है और तुम मुझसे कुछ लेना है. So point is this: the day it happens, the day my payment, the debts are done, I will be done. But the point is that if I do in this birth also actions because motivated by my selfishness, okay, again I'm going to create some karmic debts for myself. Again, in this my transmigratory existence, I will get trapped in. Again, I will get trapped into the cycle of births and the deaths. Because if I do karma with a certain sense of you can say attachment, certain sense of getting something, that is with selfishness, I am going to create some karmic debts, and all those karmic debts I have to pay it anyhow. So one would say, what is the way ahead? So if you go again to the Adi Shankaracharya, which Mohit referred to his God, and he happens to be my God as well. So he would say that take the resort of knowledge. Take the resort of knowledge. Understand that you are a bigger being, that is a Brahma. And if you go on to if you take the resort of Vaishnav people who advocate Dvaita, they will say that take the Sharanagati of Lord. Okay, they are one and the same thing. But understand that only these two ways one can go ahead. So by using the spiritual understanding, we can certainly change how we approach that work and give up attachment to whatever is achieved by the bodies. This way, we will purify our minds and get focused on this particular spiritual path. This way, doing duties and spirituality are not two separate activities. Duties feeds into spiritual progress. This is what is the thing that I wanted to say in the first and the second verse. Now, in the third and fourth verses, I would like to focus on that there is no spiritual progress without duties. Now, this is like very, very contradictory. Okay, now, even though we are not this body and mind system, let us say that we are not this body and mind system, we are Brahma. Okay, let's say right now we are identifying with it. We are strongly identifying with it. But we do understand from chapter 2 that we are not this body and mind. Okay, and especially those people who have got spiritual enlightenment because of their guru, or probably the guru themselves, like for example Neem Karoli Baba and his favorite disciple like Ramdas. His documentary came, and in this documentary he says that I am beyond time and space. This is what he says, and he's in complete sense when he's making that statement. And please do understand, he's a professor. Okay, so if he's saying something, so it makes sense materialistically and spiritually also. Being a professor, he is not going to talk insane. Okay, now he's saying in that documentary, I am beyond time and space. Okay, when he says I'm beyond time and space, he's not referring to himself as Aramdas. That is just the body. He's talking about something which is inside. Okay, so we do know that body and mind system to which we are strongly identifying, it is just a mithya. Okay, this is not true. Just give me a minute. Okay, and oh, so sorry for the disturbance. So even though we are not this body and mind system, as we strongly identify ourselves with, we need to use our abilities to go beyond them. So what this body is going to bring us to, it is going to give us that ability. This is going to give us that vivek. This is going to give us that that buddhi. Okay, that we can realize our true nature as a Brahma. Okay. That way, I can say that this mind and body are doorways to the spirituality, but they themselves have came into existence for a particularly independent reason, governed by the prarabdha karma. Understand that this karma is nature's tool to create and destroy this physical universe, including our bodies. To transcend the body and mind system, we have to use the ability of intellect, reasoning, which is in our Vedantic terms called as the Mimamsa, to understand the differentiation between them and our true identity, Brahma. Only then, using this understanding, coupled with the methods, like for example, somebody may say that I will take up to meditation or something like that. Somebody would say that I will resort to my guru, whatever he says, that I'll stay focused to what he says. Only then one can evolve to realize the true nature of the real identity. Okay, so this body is important. That way it is important. So again, as I told, that today's discussion, initially it is to introduce to the chapter, and now Lord says about the two paths. Okay, so given that we are dependent on the body and mind to support us in the spiritual journey, we need to help them accomplish the task they need to complete. So for example, we understand that this body and mind, we are here to make some spiritual journey, the journey of realization. But understand that we also have certain tasks to accomplish to these bodies, because we are bound by some prarabdha karma, we are bound by some karmic debts. We have to anyhow repay them. Once they are satisfied, they will stop bothering us, giving us the state of tranquility, and where we can focus on. Therefore, we can only then we can focus on our spiritual journey. In short, we have two stage path to follow. The first, we need to use a karma yoga to do the duties prescribed by the prarabdha karma, satisfying body and mind. Okay. Given that karma yoga makes us do our duties without attaching to the outcomes, it will purify our minds. It will make us sthita pragya. And only in that case, in the second stage, using that purified minds or properly sthita pragya, we can progress on the spiritual knowledge and understanding, and helping us see beyond the body and mind. Do understand? Adi Shankaracharya also took renunciation at the age of 8. But he had certain duties. He fulfilled all those duties. In fact, he also participated in the Antim Sanskar of his mom. Even when he was sannyasi, then also he did that, because he told that it was the word I gave to my mother before taking a sannyas. So he had to do all those things. Even for this particular thing, he was totally opposed also by all the people around. But still, he did those duties. Okay, so do understand that we have to make if we are born into this if we are born into this maya lok, or we call as a mrityu lok, we are here to fulfill our duties. We have to fulfill our duties anyhow, because we are dictated by prarabdha karma. We cannot go beyond it. Okay, once we do it without attachment, by taking the resort to doctrine of nishkarma karma, by taking the doctrine by resorting the doctrine of the disinterested action, without getting attached, by being equanimous in all the circumstances, by getting not affected by that is Sheet and Ushna, that is what was told by my previous speaker in the chapter 2, verse number 14, that by understanding that all these circumstances are agamo payano anitya, means they are going to come and go. If one has become equanimous, only then he will get a stage of sthita pragya, and only then in the second stage he can progress to the or he or she can progress to the spiritual knowledge and understanding, to see beyond body and mind. So this is how this body and mind system, which we think that this is mithya, this is nothing, this is important this way. Okay, and this is what Lord Krishna had to say in the verse number 3. And he says that, O sinless Arjun, the two paths leading to the enlightenment were previously explained by me: the path of knowledge for those who are inclined towards the contemplation, and path of work for those who are action oriented. Okay, and he says that lokesmin dvidha nishtha pura prokta maya anaga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yogina, means there are two paths of enlightenment: the karma path and the jnana marg. Whichever these are the two paths to reach the final destination. But understand, all these things are said and done, but we do understand that doing duties is literally very hard, and it is literally very hard to do them without expectation. This is our normal tendency. Okay, but what usually people do, and usually why spiritualists are being looked down upon, this is the main reason. So what usually spiritualists do, that therefore the normal tendency is what? Okay, we know that doing duties is hard, and also doing it without expectation is hard. So these days in the common generation, you will see everybody saying that do everything without expectation, but they are not doing anything without expectation. They are somewhere into expectations only. Okay, so what do they do? They stay away from their parents. Okay, they stay away from their parents. Fine, good enough. Okay, you are trying to remain in an environment where you are not perturbed by externalities, but then they're living in live-in. So you are living in live-in there. you are not accepting the duties of your parents. You're saying that, okay, these duties I'm not going to take because the duties are going to create expectation and all those things. And then they are living in a living relationship. How come you are justifying all this nonsense? So this is what this nonsense is going, because of the people who are taken up spirituality, which are not competent to take up spirituality. Okay, so don't go into that trap. Understand that in fact these duties are hard, and it is hard to do them without expectation, and the normal tendency is that we can give up. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
So sorry. Okay, so sorry for this network disturbance. There is some issue. Just give me a minute. Okay, so I was telling that this kind of tendencies happen these days, that people say that I will do everything without expectation, and they will not meet their parents for a while. They will live in big cities. They will leave their parents for sure. They will not even talk to them probably for 5 days or 6 days, because they know that the time they're going to talk, there would be some work given to them. Some expectation would be laid on to them. They don't want to face that expectation, but they can face expectation of someone else. Okay, fine. So answer is that you are having some expectations, some way you are attached to somewhere else. You are not unattached in that scenario also. So please do understand that even if the duties are hard, it is much hard to do them without expectation. And even when the normal tendency is to give up. And it looks very noble and acceptable that even if in the name of spiritual progress, we can give up the duties, but understand this is detrimental to our spiritual journey. Now, everybody would say, why? See, understand that this mind and body system that we've got, this is a primary tool in this journey to repay whatever we have done in our previous births. So we are here to repay our prarabdha karma. Only if we are not making this prarabdha karma, this debt, shunya, we cannot focus enough on our spiritual journey. So we are obstructing the body and mind system, and basically we are doing something against the nature of the body and mind, and eventually they will revolt, taking away the peace of mind. We will not no longer remain in the sit pragya condition. I have been to Rishikesh quite a while, for quite many times, and I have seen people of like caliber of IAS, probably IITians, taking up sannyasa. And what do people say there? That are you really into that particular state? Are you really in that particular state? Because this is very difficult. It's not that easy as it seems. It may seem very fancy that take sannyas and sit somewhere in the forest. It's not easy. You cannot even go into the darkness at 11 or 12 a.m. at night. Then you are saying that I will sit in a Uttarakhand forest at night 2 a.m., 12 a.m. It's not easy, sir. So what do Guru says there? Are you not into the Shamshana Vairagya? Okay, so Shamshan Vairagya is what? Whenever we go for the cremation of our near and dear ones to the Shamshan, there we see that the body to whom we were speaking quite days before, they were all happy with us, we were all happy with them. Now they are being cremated. Now they are being burnt. Okay, the body which we had so much of affection, so much of faith, so much of attachment is now burned into ashes. And this gives a certain sense of virakti. This gives a certain sense of vairagya, which is referred to as the Shamshana Vairagya. But answer is that after coming out from the Shamshan, that is from the crematory, one feels that what to eat, what not to eat, all those sense start to appear. And that particular virakti that happened to us for a transient time goes away. So whenever somebody goes to Rishikesh or probably places like these, the gurus there ask to that particular fellow that, are you not into Shamshan Vairagya? If you are there, you are not a proper person for the sannyasa. Do complete your things. Do complete your do complete your duties at first. Okay, and this is what Lord Krishna had to say, that one cannot achieve freedom from the karmic reactions by merely abstaining from the work, nor can one attain the perfection of knowledge by mere physical renunciation. So giving up duties, even in the name of spiritual journey, is detrimental to the spiritual journey itself. Because if we are doing, we are abstaining from activity, we are doing something against the nature of this body and mind, okay, which is dictated by the prarabdha karma. And which is what Lord Krishna had to say in the verse number 4, that is, karmanam anarambhat nashya karmam Purusha ashunute na cha sannyasana deva siddhim samadhi gacchati. So this is what he had to say in the verse number 3.4. Okay. Now, in fact, now a question arises: can somebody really remain without action? So, for example, somebody was, I think Mohit was saying in the previous session, that even if you are sitting idle, you are doing some action. Okay, this is also some action, isn't it? So understand that that this particular thing is quite impossible. Okay, so no one can remove without action. Why? Because understand that our minds are not purified. Okay, so until we don't purify our minds by understanding the real self, by attaining a sthit pragya, we cannot remain actionless. Okay, there are people who would say that sit in meditation you will become thoughtless. You cannot become thoughtless. It's not that easy. Even if for seconds you can become thoughtless, you cannot achieve that state very easily. Okay, so unless we purify our mind, it doesn't matter how forcefully we try, but we cannot make mind and body follow what we want to achieve intellectually. Okay, there are no shortcuts in the spirituality. We cannot just use the brute force to get our way. Okay, that's because our body and mind cannot stop doing work they are come here to do. And that is why we are born. That is why we are born. This is what probably Mohit was telling in the previous session also, that we are born with a chart, we are born with an astrological chart. Why we are born with an astrological chart? Why our major placement is in some nakshatra or not in some nakshatra? Because understand that our body is governed by the prarabdha karma, and all these bodies are made up of these three gunas. Okay, so even when the people who take sannyas at the very young age, even if they are going to the sannyas, even if they are taking there was, I think there is a story, I don't know, there was a guru, I think, and Indra went there, and for 100 years Indra was only sweeping the floor or something, if I'm not wrong somewhere. But understand the point. Even if a student goes to take a vanaprastha and goes to a sannyas, goes to vanaprastha is what? Vanaprastha is the preparation for the sannyas ashram. So basically, if one goes to when one goes to the ashram, there he would be teaching, he would be doing talks, he would be guiding, he would be inspiring others. It's just not spirituality, it's beyond that. Okay, so even the spiritual gurus that we are actually right now listening to, even if they have given the worldly actions, they have taken some duties. Okay, so they have taken some duties, right? So they are into some actions, isn't it? Let's say somebody follows Premanandji. So the point is this: he is performing some duty. What is his duty as a sannyasi? His duty is to motivate, guide, and do some social work, which he is doing. So understand that it's not all. If one cannot remain actionless, even if he is in the spiritual journey, even he has achieved some sense of spiritual achievement also in his life, understand that he cannot even remain actionless, because he is again governed by these things. And this is what Lord Krishna had to say in this next sloka, that is, our bodies are governed with the three gunas, that is the sattva, rajas, and tamas, and these three gunas are originating in the prarabdha karma. So until we have these bodies, there is no running away from the prescribed works. No one can remain without action even for a moment. This whole universe is made of three guna, and everyone is forced to act as their gunas. So even if we look at ourselves, if for anything else we need to, if not for anything else, let's say even if I look to myself, and if for not anything else also, but I will have to work for food. Okay, I will have work for the sharir dharma. This is deha dharma. I will have to have some minimum amount of shelter and clothing. Okay, somebody would say that, okay, I'll go to Lakshman Jhula in the Rishikesh, I'll sit there and I'll beg. Fine. Begging is also an action, isn't it? But there is an activity also. Taking something from someone needs something to be returned, starting the cycle of karma. Okay, so no one can remain without action even for a moment. And this is what Lord Krishna had to say in this next sloka, that is, nahi kaschit shanam api jatu tishtati akarma krit karyate hya avashah karma sarvah prakriti jai gunah. Means there is no one who can remain without action even for a moment. Indeed, all beings are compelled to act by their qualities born of the material nature. And even if we give up our duties, try to forcefully stay in meditation, our unpurified mind is going to continue it is going to wander. Okay, and which will make all the effort useless. So while trying to use intellect to guide mind and body in the right direction is a must, the direction needs to be doing duties using the karma yoga dictated by Lord Krishna. Stopping all the work will only lead to a situation where the mind is lost in the thoughts of certain sensory pleasure. Okay, and that sensory pleasure would be dictated again by your body. That is, what kind of thing you are attached to, sato, raju, or guna, sato, raju, or tamas. So what I wanted to say was that stopping all the work will only lead to a situation where the mind is lost in the thoughts of sensory pleasure while we forcefully block the external physical senses. So let's say if we are into actionless state, so what we are doing, we are blocking the external response, okay? But we cannot block our mind, okay? We cannot block our mind. It will be lost in some senses because right now our mind is not purified. Our mind would be purified only if we take the resort of the knowledge, if we take the, if we become really what we say the sthita pragya, which can not come very easily. It can only come with probably knowledge or by the Sharnagati, complete Sharnagati of the Lord. Only then we can achieve that. And once we achieve that, only then blocking the external physical senses will be in consonance with the internal serenity. Okay, and that is what Lord Krishna had to say in the 6th shloka of this chapter 3rd. And he says that anyone who tries to restrain the external senses while dwelling on the sensory pleasures in the mind certainly is in mithyachar. That is, certainly is fooling themselves and lives a life of a foolishness. This is what he says in the next shloka. He says that karmendriyani sanyamya ya aste manasa smaran indriyani vimodhatma mithyachara. He says that those who restrain the external organs of action while continue to dwell on the sense objects in the mind certainly delude themselves and are nothing but hypocrites. So the last two shlokas, 7th and 8th, they are about turning mind towards the karma yoga. There's a very beautiful Upanishad, which is Kathopanishad, and it is the dialogue between the Yama and Nachiketa. And this is a very beautiful Upanishad. And there it is said, before coming to that, let me take a simple example to make you understand what I wanted to explain. See, say for example, I drive a car. Okay, so do I allow my car to drive anywhere I want? No, certainly no. If I do so, I would be behind the wheels. Probably I would kill someone. So instead, we decide where to go. And accordingly, I'll guide my car with my gears and all the controls that I have, that is accelerator and everything. So even in the future, when we would have self-driving cars, we will have to know where we want to go. Let's say if I'm not the driver of the car, if the car is being guided by even, let's say, artificial intelligence, I need to guide it, right? So the same applies to our lives also. So when it comes to our life, why do we let the mind and body dictate the directions of the life? They are our vehicles in the life and are supposed to help us where we want to go. So what we are doing, we get lost into the senses, and we get so much lost into the senses that we really don't know what we really are. So what these mind and body are, these are nothing but vehicles. And what vehicles are supposed to be done? They are supposed to be guided. If they're not guided, then you know the ruckus it's going to create. So instead of using them, that is using the body and mind for the intended purpose, we let them drive and drive us crazy. We run behind things. We want to eat, we want to have taste, we want to have some sort of beauty and so on. And it's just not indulgence. If we have reached to a state of overindulgence now in this particular Kali Yuga. So it's so bad for a reason that if we need to give up these sensory pleasure, we get crazy. Now, we are so much attached to all these pleasure that if somebody says that, okay, I'm going to deprive you from this particular sensory pleasure, you are not even in a state to control. So, and the worst part about these senses is that these are never going to get satisfied. Okay, so understand that once I get something, my desire will only rise, and it will rise exponentially. Okay, the same level of satisfaction I will not get from the same product. Let's say again, I take an example of eclairs. I used to take eclairs in standard 5 or 6. That particular taste of eclairs, I don't get it now. Even when I have money, I have everything. What has happened? My desire has increased to dairy milk or probably next level. So I don't get satisfied with that particular eclairs. So therefore, we have to use our intellect to guide the mind and body to where we go. where we want. And this is what Kathopanishad explains. I have not written the shloka here, but understand that Kathopanishad explains that our intellect is the charioteer of our vehicle, our mind is the reins, and our senses are the horses. We need to use intellect to control our senses using the reins of mind. The only path that leads to eternal peace and happiness is to realize that our true identity is a Brahma. To realize that we need to use the intellect to guide the body and mind to work using the karma yoga, which is the doctrine of the disinterested action. And this is what Lord Krishna says in the 7th and the 8th shloka. And he says that, O Arjuna, those who can control their senses using mind and intellect and thereby engage in work without attachment by following karma yoga are certainly at an advantage. That is, he says that yastvi indriyani manasa niyamya arambhate Arjuna karmendriya karma yoga saktah saha vishishyate. Means he says that what those karma yogis who control their knowledge senses with the mind, O Arjuna, and engage the working senses in working without attachment, that is working with the doctrine of the disinterested action, are certainly superior. Okay, so most importantly, we must ensure that we never abandon our duties. Our body and mind have come into existence to perform these duties. If we abandon them, our body and mind, just like the vehicle, will go out of balance, resulting in the derailment of our vehicle. And where our vehicle is supposed to go? Our vehicle is supposed to go to attain the liberation. This is what our ultimate objective is. In the previous lesson also, previous section also, I told you, in the words of Ramakrishna Paramhans, the only objective of this human birth is to attain the God's realization. Okay. So along with the food and exercise, the duties are the fuel. Along with the food and exercise, the duties are the fuel and oil of our body and mind machinery. Doing these duties will help us keep our body, mind healthy, helping us a smoother ride. So we have to take some good food. We have to take right exercise. That are all good things. We have to do our duties also. Okay. By doing all these things, only then we can keep our body and mind healthy. And once we can keep all these things healthier state, in a purified state, probably after working a lot on realization by taking the satsanga, which was told by my previous speaker, satsanga se vairagya and vairagya se vivek. So only by this we can take a smoother ride, and we must perform our prescribed duties, since doing work is superior to giving up. If we give up doing work altogether, we will not be able to even maintain our bodies. This is what Lord Krishna had to say in the 8th verse, which is Nitam Kuru Karma Tvam Karma Jayo Hya Karmanah Sharira Yatrapi Chatena Prasiddhya Yeda Karmanah. You should thus perform your prescribed Vedic duties, that is, which is dictated by the Shastra. Since action is superior to inaction, by ceasing activity, even your bodily maintenance will not be possible. So with all these things, I would rest my voice, and I would tell Alpana and Mohit to take it forward. Thank you so much for listening to me. Thank you so much.
धन्यवाद, बहुत ही सुंदर सुदीप भैया की तरफ से। तो मैं आज के सत्र का समापन करना चाहूंगी, जो कि इस प्रकार है। यह नियम है कि अपना आग्रह रखने से श्रोता वक्ता की बातों का आशय अच्छी तरह से नहीं समझ सकता है। यही कारण है कि अपना यानी कि युद्ध ना करने का आग्रह रखने से अर्जुन भी उपयुक्त प्रकरण में भगवान के वचनों का आशय अच्छी तरह से नहीं समझ सके। अतः अर्जुन को भगवान ने वचन मिले हुए यह जान पड़ने लगे। इसलिए भगवान का अभिप्राय क्या है, वे मेरे कल्याण के लिए कौन सा साधन श्रेष्ठ समझते हैं, इसके बारे में और विस्तार से हम अगले सत्र में करेंगे। और आज का सत्र समापन करने से पहले मैं राधिका और उनके पिताजी अशोक कुमार शर्मा जी का धन्यवाद करती हूँ, जिन्होंने बहुत ही सुंदर लिंगाष्टकम प्रस्तुत किया। और अंत में अब मैं अपने वाणी को विराम इस श्लोक से करना चाहूंगी। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बंधु च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणम त्वमेव सर्वम मम देव त्वमेव सर्वम मम देव। जय श्री कृष्ण। धन्यवाद।